Hello everybody, welcome back to what I would like to call a very special video. What I'm going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about the video games that I've spent the most time playing. This is already probably going to be a very long and self-indulgent video. I just wanted to talk about some games I've spent the most time playing, which include a lot of my favorites, as well as bring in some people who I grew up playing video games with, friends, buddies, some that I haven't talked to in years, and just kind of get their opinions. It's going to feel very nostalgic, maybe just for me. There's going to be some familiar faces and some that you may not know. So basically the way that I cut this up is, just like many of you out there, you know, we've played many video games, so many of them. Some we've played stories that take up a good 30-40 hours. Some we've played hundreds of hours. So in order to try and keep this a little bit condensed and not get too crazy, I decided to take all the games that I've played 100 hours plus and talk about those. Now, I don't know what, in the grand scheme of things, is considered a long time on a game. 100 hours, I would presume, would be a lot. I don't know if this list is going to make me look like a loser or make me look like I don't play enough video games, so I'm curious to know what your longest game you've played is. So let me know down below in the comments. So part one is really just going to be the games that I know I've played 100 hours, but I don't have a specific play time. These are games I've played a lot, but due to the game system or, you know, the different systems I've had, memory cards, all that stuff, I don't have a precise time of how long I played it. But these are definitely 100 plus hours. Starting off with a sip of coffee from my Criterion mug. Starting off on this undisclosed list, Skyrim. Now, who hasn't played Skyrim? Who hasn't played it a lot, and who doesn't love it? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty, and that's okay. But Skyrim, it's a game that I've played on several systems. I got it, I remember when I got it. Came out 11/11/11, and I'm sure that's why they did that, so people remember. But I got it on the original 360, the same 360 I still have. I got that in 2008 Christmas, and I still have that bad boy. And I put a lot of playtime into this game, obviously. Then they came out with the Ultimate Edition, remastered, looked beautiful. I played through that, and then they came out with the Switch version, and that's the running joke. You know, Bethesda puts out several copies of the same games, mostly Skyrim, and I put ungodly amounts of hours into it. The game is so... What can be said about the game? You know, I've got somebody, spoiler alert, later who will be talking about it. Music can really make a game or a movie for me. It can really enhance it, make it a lot better. This is a game where the music just elevates it. Oh, the music is so good. So good that a lot of the times, to help me fall asleep, I'll listen to ambience and the music with a little bit of rain. It puts me right to sleep. There's just something so fantastic about Skyrim. So that's on here for sure. Next up, Super Mario 64 on the N64. There was a time where I played quite a bit as far as video games go. Got an N64. That was the first system I ever got. My brother played mostly all the time, and I didn't play as much, but this is one that I played a lot. Got a GameCube and kind of quit playing after a while. But Super Mario 64, I mean, it was game changer.
Open your eyes and your mind to the realism of Nintendo 64 as you play Super Mario 64. Submerge in a 3D environment with 15 worlds of beautiful graphics and 10 special areas.
I mean, it was literally what it is. It was a 3D Mario game. You know, instead of being 2D, it was 3D. And there's so many different stars you can collect, and this is another one where the music will probably be a common theme throughout this whole thing. So many great levels that just all had a different vibe. They were all very unique and different. Interesting little quirks and characters, some secret spots, and this was a good one. Next up, might be a little strange one, Backyard Baseball. So played this shit ton. Not only by myself playing seasons, but my brother and I would play a ton. We'd have friends over and we'd play a ton. It was a really fun, arcadey, cartoony baseball game.
Backyard Baseball, now on Nintendo GameCube. With Major League Baseball pros and teams and awesome one-on-one action, it's a whole new ball game. Also available on Nintendo Game Boy Advance and PC.
Each player had their own different quirks. You know, you had Pete Wheeler, who you'd lead off, and he would get a hit every time on a bunt. And then you had Keisha Phillips, who would just smack homers, but you'd also have real players like Jim Thome and Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson, Alex Rodriguez, that would add to the fun of it. Yeah, great fun little arcadey baseball game. Medal of Honor Rising Sun. This is another one that had fantastic couch multiplayer. I actually did a video a few years back at this point where I went back and played it. I might link that in the description below. But it was just super fun. I remember having a tough time actually beating the game back in the day. The couch multiplayer was super fun, super addicting. Some interesting characters. Oddly enough, I can remember some of them, like Umomo and Dogen. You know, this video is making me feel super nostalgic because I'm remembering all these little things we used to do when we'd play these games. All the things we'd say and talk about. And this was one that we put a lot of time in, and it was one of the few GameCube games that had 2 discs for it, and you'd have to play the multiplayer on the second disc. But yeah, fantastic fun time. Glad I have that game still, and it's easy to just pop in and play some multiplayer.
You take a good long look. Hope none of you ever see a day like this again. Or nobody will ever know what it was like. But maybe the ones who lived through it. You just be damn sure you don't forget the ones who didn't.
Red Dead Redemption, and I'm gonna also put in Mafia 2. You know, I remember very specifically 2010 was my birthday, and I got both these games on it, and that was probably like one of the best birthdays, one of the ones I remember the most. 2 absolutely fantastic games. I think most people probably know Red Dead Redemption not only had a great story, but had some fun multiplayer as well. But Mafia 2, that's probably one of my favorite games of all time. I just remember walking by the GameStop in the mall in the Woodlands, Texas. I saw the poster, and it's a very simplistic poster if you've seen it, but it just caught my attention, and I wanted to get it. And a girlfriend at the time got it for me. And it was the ultimate collection. It came with the CD of the music, once again music, and an art book, a steel book, and I love the game. I can't wait for the trilogy to come out. I hope that they fix all the issues that they've had with it. L.A. Noire, this is another one that I've played several times on several systems. Got it on the original 360, and then Xbox One when they remastered it, and then of course on Switch when they got it. One of my favorite games. Love it. You can play it several times, and things can end up going differently every time just because of all the different outcomes. And yeah, L.A. Noire, I remember when this one came out too, and how technologically advanced it was at the time. The graphics have aged a bit, but facial recognition and the gameplay is still super fun. A couple more: Assassin's Creed Black Flag. This is my favorite Assassin's Creed. And I'm currently trying to play through it again. Easily put in over 100 hours. Fantastic ending with great music. And then lastly, Simpsons Hit and Run. This is kind of a weird one. I think it's pretty popular, and I think it actually is kind of starting to grow in price. I played it on GameCube. Super fun, addicting gameplay. Another arcadey, cartoony type of game with interesting characters, funny dialogue, and it was just it was a good time.
Blackfinch!
Critics call it the best Simpsons game ever.
Get the lot, dudes.
The Simpsons Hit and Run, rated T for Teen.
I am evil Homer.
So for part 2, what we're going to do is we are going to step aside for a moment and give the spotlight to some friends and let them talk about the games that they've played the longest. So fellas, take it away.
All of you venerate savagery.
All right, so Nick came up with this idea to talk about the games that we've played the most in our gaming lives.
Hi, my name is Casey, formerly known on Xbox as Zoopster XL. Been approached by Nick to share one of my most played games.
Hi. Wonderful weather we're having. How about that? Baseball. I was given the extraordinary task by my own brother to explain the game I've played more than any other game.
Hello everybody. My name is Caleb, and I'm a video game addict. Hi everybody. So, I was invited here by my good buddy Nick, who has wanted me to talk about a game that I have spent some of the most time playing.
Hi guys, my name is John. My good friend Nick contacted me and asked me to do a little video about the game I've played the longest.
I think the answer for me is pretty clear, and I really thought about this, right? I didn't want to go with the generic answer, which if you could just kind of look behind me, I think you could probably figure out what it is, but I looked through all the games that I truly play the most, whether it's the Skate series like Skate 3, whether it's Animal Crossing, whether it's Borderlands. There's so many options that I could have chosen.
Back in 2001, only months before the release of the GameCube, Paper Mario was released to the then soon-to-retire Nintendo 64. And further puzzling, Square wasn't helping with the project, but instead Intelligent System. Paper Mario has all the beautiful qualities one would expect from a Mario RPG genre type of game. My absolute personal favorite was the allies you collect throughout the game. Their unique personalities that match their appearance in the species of Mario character and creative NPCs that make up the game. I also love how they represent each level you go through, such as Bo in Paper Mario 64, who is a Boo found in a haunted house level. Another favorite of mine is how the levels are creative and all have their own stories that are equally as creative and mesh well with the theme and all incorporate the Crystal Star's reasons for being in the area they're found. However, and if you talk about the Nintendo 64 version, I guess it just would be the normal stars and how their personalities kind of go in with the storyline of each level.
You know, I've been a gamer for a long time, since the original PlayStation. Up until now, I'm 30 years old, I still like to game. But when this topic was brought to me, there was one specific series of games that immediately jumped to my mind, and that is SOCOM US Navy SEALs. Originally appeared on the PlayStation 2 console. I was introduced to the series with SOCOM 2. I actually remember seeing the commercials back in the day. It was such a big deal at the time with being able to play PlayStation online, and they had the commercials with the guys with the headsets kind of communicating with each other, and I was kind of instantly intrigued by that. So I remember going out one night, picking up SOCOM 2 used really cheap, and a headset with it, and I mean, I was immediately just kind of shocked because I'd never experienced something like that before. Really just the idea of being able to get on there and talk with the people that you're playing with was very foreign to me at the time, and the game was amazing.
And I would have to say that's probably the newest Call of Duty Modern Warfare, in specific Warzone. That game to me has been probably one of my favorite games I've played. The positives in the game is, it's not clunky. You can get your own custom loadouts, build your guns up through multiplayer and use them in the Warzone. And that to me is pretty awesome. A great new strategy. I've been a big fan of Battle Royale games for quite some time. And when Call of Duty brought this one out, Warzone, I know they've had previous ones, but when this one came out, this one really intrigued me.
And I was thinking it could have been a Mario game or a Zelda game, but it wasn't very hard for me to decide on one of the games in the Super Smash Bros. Franchise. Now, the issue lies where I have to figure out which game in the franchise I've played the most. So, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and rule out Ultimate. Not because it's a bad game, it's definitely the better out of all the games. But it's only been out for a year and a half. So I don't think it's the one I've played the most. And looking at my Switch, I've been playing, playtime is 124 hours and 57 minutes. The amount of time I've had it actually powered on is 334 hours and 23 minutes. Now that's a long time, but I guarantee I've played some of the others more.
I believe video games can be a good, healthy coping mechanism or hobby for lots of situations. I also believe that used in the wrong way, video games can be bad. Just the violent aspects of it. You have Mario and The Sims and Animal Crossing, games like that, just violent. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Somebody who has also spent most of their life in the Call of Duty franchise playing competitively, I've really seen the good and the bad, and really Call of Duty is really on its downfall. I'm just not a big fan anymore. There's a Battle Royale game that came out not too long ago called Apex Legends that pretty much goes up against Fortnite. I'm not a big fan of those. I'm definitely into the Battle Royale scene, but that was one I could not get into.
There's probably a few that rank up there. The one that I think comes to mind as I've been thinking about this over the last 4 days or so is probably Skyrim. I originally started playing it on PS3 and then started playing it on Xbox One again when they remastered it. It's a game that I've played on and off for going on probably 10 years.
But the only correct answer is Spyro the Dragon, whether it's the original game or any from the original trilogy or the newly released the other year, the Reignited trilogy. I haven't stopped playing them since I was a kid, and I'm still playing them today. I beat the games at least 2 to 3 times a year, depending on what time of the year it is, how long I've played it since the last time, and it's just been something I've been doing since I was a kid. Even if I've played them a million times, they don't get old to me. My favorite one specifically is the first game, and that's there's really no backtracking if you're collecting everything along the way, and I like rescuing the dragons. It's just a very simplified collect them all game, a platformer, and it's just very enjoyable, and I really like it. And that's not a knock on 2 or 3. I love them both very much, in their own rights, but the first game to me has the most sentimental value, and it's a game that I constantly still play to this day, multiple times a year. Again, I still play the originals, and I still play the new HD remakes of them as well. So I would say Spyro the Dragon, the initial 3 in general, but let's just say the first one, if I had to pick one game, for sure is the game that I always go back to and play all the time.
I have approximately 167 hours and 12 minutes in The Thousand Year Door, and 47 hours and 28 minutes in Paper Mario 64. Those are only approximations because I've deleted and recreated different files, and so the exact number is not estimated technically. My favorite of the Paper Mario series would have to be The Thousand Year Door. It's better organized, more easier to control, and graphics are naturally better when compared to the 64 version, and they're more gravitating even compared to games of modern standard. It's also my first Paper Mario, and what launched me into the series, fueling my love for this genre of Mario games.
I guess you would call it like a simulator. It's 2 teams. I'm mostly focused on the online. The campaigns are good, but the online is really where SOCOM always really shine the brightest, and just strategic. A lot of the games that you get now, the shooters are just kind of run and gun. There was so much strategy involved with SOCOM, and I spent hours and hours and hours and hours playing SOCOM. I mean, if I were to estimate how many hours I spent on SOCOM, I wouldn't even know. I mean, over 1,000 for sure. That's ridiculous to say, but it was really a big part of my life for a long time, and it just never got stale. And a lot of times the appeal wasn't so much the game. I mean, the game's great, but a lot of times the appeal was to get on and to talk to your friends and to battle other groups and clans, and it was just a hell of an experience. I always think back on that, and I'm always looking for something that can kind of come close, but nothing ever does.
I've been playing it. I think I've been on there for about 5 days. It says 5 days currently. I know there's people that have been ratting it out. Just for me, I play it casual. I don't play it very competitively like YouTubers and things of that nature. I would have to say cons of the game, one being the fact that, you know, they need to switch out and create a new map for us to, you know, just spice it up a little bit. I think the last negative would probably be RPGs in Warzone. I think those should be completely taken out. When it comes to driving vehicles and things of that nature, the RPGs seem to always find me, as well as C4s. But it's too cheesy for me in regards to RPGs. That's always been one of the negatives that I think that should be taken out of Warzone. But other than that, you know, the game to me has been as a whole all around great. I would definitely rate it probably a 4 out of 5. It's fun, great to play with your friends. To me, it's just an all-around good game, and I will probably continue playing it for a while until something else comes out that sparks the interest. But so my top game would probably be Call of Duty.
I'm also going to go ahead and rule out for the 3DS because I know it's not going to be that one. And I'm going to rule out Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 because I've also played that one a lot, but it's definitely not one of the ones I've played the most. Now with the franchise, I've always come back and then left for a few months, played it again for a few months, and then came back. So that leaves us with Melee, Brawl, and for the Wii U. Now, Melee was a great game. I played it for the 7 years it took them to release Brawl on the Wii. But I don't think it's the one I've played the most. Brawl, that game blew me away with all the content, the story mode, the stage builder. I remember spending a lot of hours just doing stage builder alone. And also mods. I've played a lot of mods with that game. And then there's for the Wii U, which specifically I remember playing about 3,000 matches online, which would definitely add up to the playtime. But if I had to decide, I would have to decide on it being Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii. I think at one point I had about 600 hours on that game. Now I wish I could go back and look, but yeah, memory cards get lost, data gets corrupt, yeah, all these things happen. So yes, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's gonna be Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii.
Fuck! But with Apex, I have over 2 months of playing time, and there are lots of games that I have a couple months of playing time into, but this game in particular, I don't see me stopping for a while, so I'm definitely going to rack up the hours in that more. There's just a lot to it. The first-person shooter of Apex has just brought together lots of things that other first-person shooters haven't been able to perfect, I guess. I could talk about everything for a very long time, but without going into much detail, really the greatest aspects of that game is you got the competitiveness. It has a smooth gameplay. Everything's very smooth, from the fighting to the animations, just everything. They do frequent updates, which is nice. They don't do many major changes, but little changes all the time, so it keeps it pretty interesting. It's pretty cool they incorporate a storyline for a battle royale. It really brings it all together, and I'll definitely continue to play it a lot more. It has definitely been one of the most influential games I've played competitively, not just story-based. Like I said, I don't see myself slowing down on that game anytime soon. Luckily, it's going to be out for at least 10 years. At least that's what the contract they signed was. I hope that answers your question. Thanks!
Don't even know how to compute how many hours. I've recently sold that PS3. I originally started playing it when I was on a deployment, when I was in the military, and I probably put in a few hundred hours just then alone, not to mention after my deployment and since then, right? My buddy just, let me borrow his and showed me it, and just loved it, right? I mean, like, the graphics, the massive world, the unlimited things to do, the different routes you can take. There was just so many amazing things about the game. Bethesda has come out with great games, bad games, right? But that was definitely one of the great ones they've come out with, and I think they've maybe failed to match that, really, right? I mean, talk to different people that play Skyrim, and they just all love it, right? The different mods that I've played on it, on PS3. I've played it all the way through the main storyline, probably like half a dozen times on different characters. I would imagine I have well over 1,000 hours into it. Just wandering around adventure mode, right? Not even just doing quests. There was times where your quest is pretty far, and instead of fast traveling to make it easier, I would just walk, because I wanted to venture in between and see what I could find. And just overall, it was so easy to come back to. It'd be difficult at first to figure out where I was at, but the repeat playability of it, even after all these years, it held, right? So I think that's what really helped that probably become one of my favorite games of all time. That I've played the most, I'm sure, as well.
I can remember when I first got the game, my best friend Jess and I rented it from Hollywood Video and took it home. We got stuck outside of Hooktail's castle at the puzzle where you had to trip both of the blue switches using coops, and neither one of us could figure out for a little while. I can also remember when I first went out and got the strategy guide. This is actually my first original strategy guide that I got, and you can see I used it so much that the binding practically fell out of it. So I actually got this strategy guide from the Hollywood Video that we originally rented it from. There's a place next to it called Game Crazy that obviously sold video games, and I picked the strategy guide out to help me play the game. Again, was with my best friend Jess, his brother Nick, and their mom. I only had $20 with me at the time and really wanted this strategy guide. It was $19.99, but of course everything's included with tax, so it was like a little bit dollar and some change more. And thankfully, their mom helped me out.
Started with 2, eventually I got 3. 3 wasn't as popular, I think, but I put a lot of time into that too. But just the series in general, I made some really great friends. That first summer that I got into it, I really didn't do anything else with my life. It was wake up, play SOCOM all day. I probably had a bit of a problem, but looking back on it now, there's really been no other gaming experience that's come close to SOCOM for me. And I've met so many great friends and guys that I still talk to this day, which is crazy because, we would have met when I was maybe 15, 16, and, I've kind of grown up with them, and now we're in our 30s and we're still, texting every so often. It's really weird. It was such an awesome experience. So I know other people were really into this. Let me know. SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs, the greatest.
So happy I was able to get people involved in this video and talk about games they played the longest. Like I said, just people I grew up with, people I've played games with, buddies from the internet. Super exciting to get everybody together, and just it feels very nostalgic for me to hear them talk about games, and it just takes me back to a better time. So thank you guys, really appreciate it. But now for part 3, this is the meat and potatoes. These are the games that I've played over 100 hours and also have a very accurate number that I've played and can talk about. So first up here, the newest member to the 100+ hour club, Super Mega Baseball 3. Now this game came out not very long ago, and I've already put 100 hours into it. I've always found sports games to be very replayable. I mean, just sports in general. I think it's just the fact that there's always a different outcome. And if I lose, I want to jump back in and play another game. If I win, I want to keep playing and try to build up a winning streak. And that's kind of how it feels with this. They have a pennant mode, which, you know, keeps you wanting to play. You want to keep getting better so you can keep rising up the standings to be the best in your specific pennant chase for that week, which keeps it fresh. There's also a franchise mode where you can create players and teams, and of course I guess I should probably show you the team I created, but I created a bunch of my favorite Phillies from over the years, so it's added a lot of time to it, so it's easy to see why I'm putting in 100 hours so quickly. This one kind of came as a shock to me when I found out how long I had played it, but that's Battlefield 1. Played it 110 hours. Obviously had a great time with it. It was something different. You know, you don't get a lot of World War I games, but it was able to do it in that classic over-the-top Battlefield style. Super fun. Had a great time with it. Obviously playing with friends, and most of these on here are going to be multiplayer just because that's the easy thing to constantly play. So this is not the first-person shooter you're going to see on this list, but it is a fun one. I had a great time with it. You know, sometimes I get the urge to want to go back and play some of the Battlefield games, but like the other day I tried to go back and play Battlefield 4 and I just couldn't connect anymore. Couldn't connect to the internet or the servers, which, you know, that's always a little disappointing and sad because you realize that, you know, a lot of time has gone on and servers are down, and, you know, eventually all these games that you love you won't be able to play because there's new things coming and they can't support the old games, and we'll have a few more on this list where it's the same situation. But yeah, Battlefield 1. Okay, we have a couple 130 hour games here, so we jump from 110 to 130. First one, Elder Scrolls Online. Obviously online games are super easy to play for a long time. Elder Scrolls Online is a great time. I made a video a couple years back about how much fun I was having, and it had a really bad reception when it first came out because of some silly decisions that Bethesda and ZeniMax made. But they quickly changed those. They keep updating it. They keep adding story bits. They just came out with the Skyrim story, which I want to jump into, obviously. But I still go back and play it from time to time. I just don't marathon it like I had been at one point. As with most of these games, you know, when you have people to play, I play with T and her brother and her siblings, and you can really get lost in these game worlds, and, you know, man, I just think back to all the time. Yeah, this is part of the reason I want to talk about these. It's just, you know, the nostalgia it makes you feel, especially during the time where we're at right now, and, you know, all we need is a little bit of positivity and happiness and taking you back to a better, simpler time. Yeah, and Elder Scrolls Online was a fun time, as well as another 130 hour one. Black Ops 2. Now, there's going to be a few Call of Duties on here because I used to be a Call of Duty rat. Yeah, but Black Ops 2 came after, obviously, Black Ops. And I remember very specifically when the game came out, I told myself, you know, I will not be buying that. Went out and bought it and put in, you know, some of the most hours I've ever put into a game. So I had a great time with it once again. You know, I remember playing online with friends, but we would also create our own games within the game. So we'd go to a private match and we'd go on, like, Carrier, for example. One person would sit in the middle on the helicopter, the downed helicopter, and the rest of us would try to flank around the whole map. If you made it across, you win, but the whole time, the sniper in the middle is trying to take you out when you're crossing through the little openings. And if you get shot, you come in the middle and you help him try to take everybody else out. So it was almost a play on Infected, but it was our own type of game. Super fun. I just think back to spending long nights doing that, having a great time. Yeah, Black Ops was a lot of fun. All right, we have a couple 150 plus hour games. Now, the first one here, Modern Warfare 2. Now, like I said, I was a Call of Duty rat. You know, and it's funny because these games take me back to a specific time, and I remember, you know, this was during high school. We'd come back from school, play it all night, play it on the weekends, play with buddies. Super fun time. You know, I don't think I really need to go too much into Modern Warfare 2 because, you know, it's one of the most popular games ever. But super exciting to see that they put out the campaign remastered. Wish it was the full game, but I guess what they're doing is they're putting in all that stuff into the new Modern Warfare. Whew, Modern Warfare 2. A great time. Very good story. Very dark story. You know, I was kind of shocked to see the kind of stuff they're putting in the story. And then the other 150-hour game, another very recent one, Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, 150 hours is, I think, is kind of high, you know, for a video game, until you consider that I still am not able to connect to online. So it's 150 plus hours of basically playing single player, which is astonishing. I fucking love this game, love everything about it. The detail and the music, the story, the characters, everything you love about anything as far as a game or a movie, I love about this game. I'm shocked by my ability to just run around the world and just come across things or come across people or interesting little vignettes and stories and characters and just be engrossed the whole time. I'm still running around at night, absolutely floored by the amount of detail and how fucking stunning it looks. The lighting, the moonlighting. I'm shocked. This is the best looking game I've ever played. And, you know, I'm a little upset that I can't connect online. I don't know what the issue is, but the fact I'm able to put 150 hours into just a single player, and I'm still trying to go through and 100% it. I'm stuck on getting some feathers, which has been a real bitch. But Red Dead Redemption 2, oh man. I don't usually get my favorite game of all time in a modern, like very recent game, but that's one that could probably hit my list of favorites of all time. So good. Never thought they'd be able to top John Marston, but Arthur Morgan he's a great character. Just love the way the story progresses and the way it connects to the first one. And I don't know, I have a hard time thinking the first one's better. They did everything better in the second one, and it's just a masterful game. Alrighty, jumping from 150 to 200 hours. We're hitting the big boys now. Actually, got a couple Call of Duties here. A couple World War II Call of Duties. The first one, World at War. This one makes sense to me. I played a shit ton of this, loved this game, played through the story several times, and obviously played a lot of online. You know, this is also probably my favorite Call of Duty, I would say, which is evidenced by the amount of hours I put into it. Sitting here thinking right now, I can think of the sounds of the guns, the music, the sound of the title screen when you first jump into the game. You know, this is one where the sounds are embedded deep within my psyche. But the other one, which kind of shocked me when I found out how much I played, Call of Duty World War II. Not very well received by people, and honestly, it wasn't super well received by me either at first. I have another video where I talk about this one, which I'll leave it down below, and I hope you guys check out because it kind of explains my feelings a little deeper than I'll go into here. But it's a game I played a little bit when it came out, kind of stopped playing when I got a Switch, came back a few months later, and they completely changed the game, made it better, so I put a shit ton more hours into it. So yeah, if you want more a deeper analysis of it, make sure to check out the video below. It's kind of a video about a deeper issue within gaming. But the other 200-hour game, one that I just hit 200 hours on, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Gosh, what a game. What a game. Another one where, you know, I can listen to some of the music with a little bit of rain in the background and fall asleep instantly. I mean, it's easily the best one in the whole franchise. And it's a Nintendo game that, you know, lived up to the hype of, and usually they do. Sometimes they have a few misses, but New Horizons was one that, you know, I got very excited for, was disappointed when it got delayed. Delay seemed to have paid off because they made a great game, and they're still adding content every few weeks. New fish to catch, new things to do, jumping into the ocean, fireworks shows every Sunday. Once you get a 5-star island, you start getting KK slider to your island to play on Saturday nights. It feels like a living, breathing world, and it's awesome. It's a better living, breathing world than the one that we have in real life. So it's such a... The one thing that I really love about it is the stress-free way of playing. I think that's one thing that I couldn't get caught up on Stardew Valley, is that you have to complete things by a certain amount of time. And I don't want to do that. Animal Crossing lets you play at your own pace, do what you want to do. I mean, the game is literally up to your imagination and what you want to do, however you want to do it. And I love that. It's the one game that I can just come home after a stressful day of work, even just to go, collect the fossils every day. Put 30 minutes in, and it'll just, all the worry, the world just goes away. So yeah, 200 plus hours, and plenty more to come, really. All right, now the top two games I've played the most. Number 2 is Rocket League, which I've put 450 plus hours into. That's shocking, a lot. Considering I got this game when I first got a Switch a couple years ago. Bought the game for $15 at the time. Didn't think much of it. It's like, okay, this is fun. And it was a game that you can easily pick up, play a couple matches, put some time into. The matches are very short. They're only 5 minutes. And it's easy to kind of get lost in the matches. It's kind of a example of, just one more. Oh, I lost. Well, I want to end on a win. Oh, I won. I want to keep a streak up. Let's try again. Let's play another. So it's easy to dump plenty of hours in. Obviously, I did. There were some days I would put in hours at a time, and like I said, there's some days where just come home and play a couple matches and move on to something else. So it was easy to pick up, play, and deposit tons of time into. I'm still not as good as some of those big old pros. Oh my God. Number 1 on my list of games I've played the most. RuneScape is number 1 on my list of games that I've played the most in my life. If I sat down for a while and really put in the time, I could really explain why I love this game, but it's just kind of hard to, because I think it's less about what words can explain, and it was just an experience. Something that I played several summers. It was exposure to a gaming world that I had never ever been a part of, which is, the MMORPG. Something unlike anything I'd seen before. I was introduced to it by my cousin. And growing up, would spend countless summer nights, staying up late and just running around the world, picking flax, trying to gain money, fishing, mining, doing everything to try and make your character better. Doing really monotonous things that obviously mean nothing now, but it was the greatest experience at the time, and it's an experience I look back fondly on. The music takes me back to, it makes me emotional to think about, because it was just, a much better time, a much easier time. And it's a game that I played with some great friends, some people that are in this video, and I haven't even told you how long I've played it. My last estimate that I looked up before my account seemed to have been permabanned because somebody hacked it and did some shady stuff. It told me it was around 600 plus hours, which I don't think is super accurate because I've played multiple accounts. So you're pushing it close to 1,000 plus hours, which is insane. But, it was a world to get lost in, and I hope to someday do a video specifically on RuneScape, because it was a game that kind of changed my life. Introduced me to a whole new subset of games. I don't know, it taught me some real life goals and skills, and how to save your money, and how not to get a girlfriend. Oh, it was just so much fun. I remember back fondly. I wish I could contextualize my feelings for this game, but it's just something that had and still has a big effect on me. And I love the game so much. I love the time I spent with friends on it. I love just the experiences I had on it, all the fun times, and I'm glad that they're still doing RuneScape Classic, but it's going to be a really sad day whenever they close that down. And the crazy thing is, back in the day we'd play it on a full-blown computer, and now you can play it on your friggin' phone. So technology's advancing, and there may not be a place for RuneScape Classic down the line, but even if that's the case, it's just something that really had a profound effect on me, and it's something that I'll never forget. Well, I'd say that about does it for the games that I've played the longest. Thank you for everybody who participated in this. I really appreciate you putting in, the effort to help me out. It really helped the nostalgic factor, getting people involved that grew up with, friends that spent a lot of time gaming with, and really helped make this video better, not just about me, but about other people and their experiences. And speaking of that, let me know down below what some of your most played games are. Would love to hear it and learn what you guys played, guys and gals played growing up. With that being said, I love games. Games are a big part of my life. Thank you guys, as always, for watching, and I'll see you next time.